Echidna possessed the upper body of a woman and the lower body of a serpent, symbolizing male genitalia. Sexual intercourse with Echidna metaphorically represented the ancient Greeks' enjoyment and imagination of love's diversity. This is precisely one of the themes of this chapter's narrative.
Chrysaor, married to Callirrhoe, daughter of glorious Oceanus, was father to the triple-headed Geryon. But Geryon was killed by the great strength of Heracles at sea-circled Erytheis, beside his own shambling cattle on that day when Heracles drove those broad-faced cattle toward holy Tiryns. When he crossed the stream of Oceanus and had killed Orthos and the oxherd Eurytion out in the gloomy meadow beyond fabulous Oceanus.
Many giants appear in Greek mythology, though their origins vary. As we detailed in Predestined Fate, Girl Insulted and Castrated, Perseus killed Medusa while she slept. At that time, Medusa was already pregnant. In the instant of her death, the power of maternal love caused her to give birth to her child, the winged horse Pegasus and the giant Chrysaor. Chrysaor was born clutching a golden sword in his hand. His name means, he who has a golden sword. Hesiod, an ancient Greek poet who lived approximately from 750 to 650 BC, recorded it thus.
And when Perseus cut off her head, there sprang forth great Chrysaor, and the horse Pegasus, who is so called because he was born near the springs of Ocean, and that other because he held a golden blade in his hands.
Oceanus was one of the Titans. He was the son of Uranus and Gaia. Oceanus was the river god who ruled the great river encircling the entire world. He married his sister Tethys and fathered the 3,000 river gods Potamoi and 3,000 water nymphs, the Oceanids. Chrysaor married Callirrhoe, one of the 3,000 nymphs. Callirrhoe's name means beautiful flow or beautiful stream. She bore Geryon and Echidna to Chrysaor. Echidna literally means she-viper, half woman and half snake, who lived alone in a cave. Around 1251 BC, the year of Minos's death, Erytheis assigned Heracles his 10th labor, to obtain the cattle of Geryon. Heracles was hypersexualized. We told the story of his sexual encounters with 50 brides in the section Heracles' 50 Brides and why he killed his teacher and son. In the heroic exploits of Heracles, he not only had sex with women, but also with men, and once had sex with a half-human serpent monster. Scythia, also known as Scythica, was the term used by the ancient Greeks to describe the northern steppe regions inhabited by nomadic peoples. This area stretched from northeastern Europe to the shores of the north of the Black Sea, across the Central Asian steppes, and beyond into territories unknown to them. It encompassed the Eastern European steppe, Central Asia, and parts of Eastern Europe. When Heracles set out to steal the cattle of Geryon, he passed through the wilderness of Scythia. At that time, it was still a desert. Heracles decided to rest for a while, but he forgot to tie up his horse, which ran away while he slept. Awaking next morning, Heracles discovered his horse had vanished, so he searched everywhere. Upon reaching a place called the Woodland, he found a cave. Within it lived Echidna, sister of Geryon. Her upper body was that of a human woman, while her lower body was entirely serpentine. Some scholars argue that this was merely a serpent-like creature resembling Echidna, not Echidna herself. Heracles inquired about his horses. Echidna replied that she had hidden it away and would only return it to Heracles after they had consummated their union. Whether this constituted an expression of love or sexual extortion was irrelevant. What mattered was that Heracles agreed to the bargain. Perhaps the true metaphor was deliberately obscured by later chroniclers. The union of a woman's upper body, embodying masculine vigor, offering the male body to the serpent, representing the male organ, actually aligns more closely with the ancient Greeks' diverse explorations of love. Double the lovemaking brings double the pleasure. After their union, the half-human, half-serpent woman could not bear to see Heracles depart. She refused to return his horses, attempting to keep him there forever. Heracles was furious and insisted on leaving. Seeing she could not persuade him to stay, Echidna told Heracles she was pregnant with his 3 sons, and asked what he would do once the children grew up. Heracles left Echidna a belt adorned with a golden cup and a mighty bow. He instructed her that when the boys reached manhood, each should attempt to draw the bow. Whoever drew the bow most easily would inherit the half-serpent woman's lands in Scythia. The remaining children should depart to seek their own destinies elsewhere. When the 3 sons of Heracles and Echidna grew up, only the youngest, Sides, could draw the bow left by Heracles. The ancient Greek historian Herodotus recorded, "From Sides, the son of Heracles, were descended the after kings of Scythia." These later rulers also followed the tradition of their legendary ancestor, wearing belts adorned with hanging cups. The eldest son, Erytheis, and the second son, Gelonus, were driven from their home. Erytheis also founded a kingdom, becoming the ancestor of the Erytheisi. Gelonus founded a city bearing his name, becoming the progenitor of the Gelonians. Geryon was a fearsome giant. He resided on the island of Erytheia at the westernmost edge of the Mediterranean Sea. Legend held that he possessed 3 heads. Some accounts also described him as having 3 bodies. Additionally, he possessed 6 arms and 6 hands, yet only 2 legs. This description closely resembles the appearance of Neja in Buddhist mythology. Neja originates from Nalakuvara, a yaksa under the command of Mahamayuri, the Peacock Wisdom King. In the latter tradition, Mahamayuri is a popular practice in both the Chinese and Japanese forms of Vajrayana. She is also the name of one of the 5 protective goddesses in Buddhism. After leaving Echidna, Heracles needed to cross the Libyan desert to reach the island of Erytheia. The desert's arid heat frustrated him, so Heracles shot an arrow at Helios, the god who personifies the sun. Helios, admiring his courage, or perhaps fearing the mortal hero's audacity and strength, bestowed upon him the golden cup that Helios traversed the sea each night from west to east. Sitting within this golden cup, Heracles drifted to the Erytheia. Orthos was a 2-headed dog kept by the giant Geryon. It was the first to discover the intruders, lunging to attack, but was slain by Heracles with his olive wood club. Eurytion, who tended the giant's cattle, also rushed into the fray, merely adding another stepping stone to the hero's list of achievements. Naturally, he too was struck down by Heracles with his club. Upon hearing the sounds of battle outside, Geryon donned his armor, took up 3 shields and 3 spears, and came forth to challenge Heracles, driving him back. When Heracles retreated to the island's river Anthemus, he swiftly crossed the stream. But the 3-headed, 6-armed giant, too massive and clumsy, lagged. Heracles turned and shot an arrow through Geryon's forehead. This arrow had been dipped in the poisonous blood of the Lernaean Hydra. It caused Geryon's neck to bend to one side, like a delicate poppy shedding its petals all at once. Having triumphed, Heracles led the cattle of Geryon away. Vulcan is analogous to Hephaestus, the Greek god of craftsmen and fire. Depicted holding a blacksmith's hammer, He presides over fire, volcanoes, deserts, and related elements. Vulcan's origins may trace back to Volcanos, the nature god of Crete in Greece. The ancient Romans equated Vulcan with Hephaestus. It is also possible that this deity emerged through the gradual fusion of Bronze Age craftsmen and Iron Age artisans. According to legend, Vulcan was the son of Jupiter, king of the gods, and Juno, but he was ugly and cried constantly. Once, when Jupiter and Juno quarreled, he sided with his mother. Enraged, his father hurled him from Mount Olympus. After falling for a full day and night, he landed on Mount Etna, breaking one of his legs. A detail differing from Greek mythology, where Hephaestus was cast down from Olympus by his mother Hera because of his ugliness. Thetis, meaning sea-nourished or sea-born goddess, discovered Vulcan and brought him to her underwater grotto, adopting him as her son. The legend of Vulcan is likely humanity's record of how fire was preserved and harnessed. He had a joyful childhood, spent playing with dolphins and pearls as toys. One day, he discovered the embers of a fisherman's bonfire on the beach and was deeply captivated by a single, still glowing ember, red hot and faintly luminous. Vulcan carefully sealed this precious coal within a shell and carried it back to his underwater cave to kindle a fire. On the first day, he gazed at the flames for hours without looking away. On the second day, he discovered that when he used bellows to stoke the fire, certain stones began to seep iron, silver, or gold. On the third day, he hammered the cooled metal into various objects, bracelets, necklaces, swords, and shields. Vulcan crafted pearl-encrusted knives and spoons for his foster mother, Thetis, while for himself, he forged a silver chariot with reins, enabling seahorses to carry him at full speed. He even cast golden maidens to serve at his command. Later, wearing the silver sapphire necklace Vulcan had crafted for her, Thetis attended a banquet on Mount Olympus. Juno marveled at the necklace and inquired where it had come from. Thetis grew flustered, arousing Juno's suspicion. Ultimately, Juno learned the truth. The infant abandoned years ago had grown into a master craftsman. Juno flew into a rage and demanded that Vulcan return to Mount Olympus, but he refused. Instead, he presented her with an exquisite chair crafted from gold and silver, inlaid with mother of pearl. Juno was delighted with the gift, but the moment she sat down, hidden springs triggered, and metal bands shot out, trapping her securely. Ultimately, Jupiter agreed to Vulcan's terms, promising Venus to him as his wife, thereby securing his mother Juno's release. Later, Vulcan built a blacksmith's shop at the foot of Mount Etna in Sicily. It is said that whenever Venus was unfaithful, he would fly into a rage, wielding his hammer to strike the molten metal with such fury that sparks and thick smoke would rise from the mountain's summit, triggering volcanic eruptions. The Greek version of this story was detailed in our work, Curses, Necklace of Harmonia. However, Hephaestus's scheme against Hera stemmed from revenge against the mother who abandoned him. Applying this narrative directly to Vulcan defies logic, since it was Jupiter, the Roman counterpart of Zeus, who cast Vulcan from Mount Olympus, not Juno. Vulcan's plot against Juno amounts to biting the hand that feeds you. In older legends, Vulcan possessed extraordinary sexual prowess, capable of impregnating various goddesses without their awareness. Both Fortuna, the Roman goddess of fortune equivalent to the Greek Tyche, and Feronia, goddess of harvest and health, were secretly impregnated by him. The seed sown in Fortuna bore Jupiter. Another legend states that Vulcan impregnated another virgin goddess, giving birth to Jupiter. Thus, Jupiter, the king of the gods, became the son of the fire god, a narrative that may align more closely with ancient Roman lore. Regrettably, while Rome conquered Greece, Greek civilization conquered Rome. This led to Roman mythology being irrevocably submerged within the legends of ancient Greece. Heracles set out with the cattle of Geryon to return. As night fell, while he passed the Aventine Hill in Italy, he rested upon the hill. There, Cacus, meaning bad, a fire-breathing giant, coveted the cattle. Cacus was the son of Vulcan. Legend holds that Vulcan impregnated a virgin who bore him. He was said to be the king of an ancient kingdom. Later, he became a monster dwelling on the Aventine Hill, subsisting on human flesh. When Heracles fell asleep at his camp on the Aventine Hill, Cacus dragged away 4 bulls and 4 cows by their tails. This left their hoofprints upside down, making them harder for Heracles to detect. Upon waking, Heracles awoke and drove his herd onward. As they passed Cacus's cave, the cattle inside bellowed, and one cow nearby responded with a low moo. This revealed the truth to Heracles. Enraged, he charged toward the cave. Terrified, Cacus blocked the entrance with a massive, immovable boulder. Heracles then climbed to the mountaintop and tore open the cave from above. Cacus attacked with fire and smoke, but Heracles countered with rocks. Finally, losing patience, Heracles leaped into the cave, charging straight toward the thickest smoke. He seized Cacus, wrenching his eyes out and draining his throat dry until all the blood gushed out. Eusebius of Caesarea was a Christian historian, exegete, and apologist from the Roman province of Syria Palestina. According to his account, Heracles founded an altar here to commemorate his slaying of Cacus. This became the ancient Roman the Great Altar of Unconquered Hercules. Later, the Forum Boarium was built on this site. Hercules had multiple temples in this area, including the Temple of Hercules Victorious, which still stands today. The Aventine Hill was the founding site of Rome. The cave where Cacus dwelled is now the location of the Porta Trigemina, one of the city's main gates.